Hello everyone, Nika here with your daily neuro nugget. Happy hump day. We have made it halfway there, guys. We have a lot of information to cover and I'm going to try to do so as clearly and concisely and as quickly as possible. That being said, we noticed, all of us here noticed some really odd internet things happening in yesterday's live. It was really, really odd. Some of you suggested that it may be YouTube censoring. I have no idea, but what's odd is that my connection on my phone, which I'm connected to the same Wi-Fi, right, was perfect on my phone, but it was acting super weird on the laptop. So I have no idea what's going on. Let's see if the chat works here. I'll just give you guys a couple of minutes to get in here. Looks like there's 24 people in here. Now, we know that, well, some of us know that there have been so many docuseries, right? Before Mr. Kohberger had even thought about accepting any sort of plea deal, before we even knew if this case was going to trial or was not going to trial, there were people lining up. There are people ready, like these are docuseries on Amazon, some are on Peacock. There's so many people that are writing books. All of that just doesn't sit well with me, right? Because for months we've been hearing that this was ready to be released, and now we are getting some sort of information regarding these docuseries. So we're going to talk about that. And I also wanted to talk about one of Brian Kohberger's classmates coming forward yet again. Now, this is somebody that gave interviews like 3 years ago. I pulled him up, several interviews on News Nation, and he is talking about Elliot Rodger. Now, allegedly, by the way, this is my little disclaimer here before we get started. These are my theories, my conspiracies, my opinions. This is for entertainment purposes only. So agree to disagree, but remain friendly in the chat. Remain respectful, right? You don't have to be friendly. Just be respectful. Now, we're going to be talking about Elliot Rodger. And we're going to talk about this new information regarding Kohberger, right? Because, again, this guy that you guys saw in the thumbnail, his name is Josh Ferraro, right? Now, Josh Ferraro is the same guy that had given interviews in the past, right? But now he's giving us more information, right? Now that all of these docuseries are coming out, it's like he's backtracking. Actually, not even backtracking. He's completely changing his original opinion of Kohberger, right? So I found it very interesting. Now, Josh Ferraro, in the thumbnail, he studied at DeSales University at the same time that Brian Kohberger did, and they were allegedly in the same program, meaning that they had a lot of classes together. And Josh Ferraro allegedly had mentioned recently, most recently, right? This is docuseries, this is money, did he get paid off? Just theorizing, right? Because he's mentioning now that Kohberger came across as robotic and emotionless. To me, I know that that's the autism speaking, right? Neurotypicals don't understand neurodivergent body language or lack thereof. But 3 years ago, Josh Ferraro said to News Nation that Brian Kohberger was a friendly, normal guy. He was an average Joe. But now 3 years later, he's like, yeah, he was actually robotic and emotionless. So it's funny how the brain, like, you'll lie to yourself, you'll tell yourself something over and over and over again, and it becomes your new reality, right? Now, Josh Ferraro confirmed that Mr. Kohberger studied incel Elliot Rodger. And what caught my attention is how Rodger spells his last name, right? R-O-D-G-E-R, same as Papa Rogers. Now, I'm going to talk about Elliot Rodger because a lot of people don't know who he is, right? Now, Elliot Rodger is a narcissistic king, right? He is known as king of the incels, and he's worshipped by the incel community. Now, what does incel actually mean, right? It means involuntarily celibate, aka no woman wants them. So then they turn their rage outward because they are full of narcissistic rage and entitlement, and they believe that they are owed sex and attention from women. And they believe that the world has unjustly denied them those things. So then they have this inner rage, this inner narcissism, and this fuels their desire for revenge and propels them often into a path of violence. And that's exactly what happened to Elliot Rodger. Right now, although we know that Mr. Kohberger had studied BTK and Ted Bundy, now Josh Ferraro is confirming that he also studied Elliot Rodger, right? Now, Elliot Rodger is also this self-proclaimed incel who went on this insane unaliving rampage in California, right? In Isla Vista, to be specific. And then he stabbed his roommates to death, right? And one, he actually stabbed 94 times. 94 times. And then he went to Starbucks, ordered a triple vanilla latte after changing out of his dirty clothes, and then he went on a shooting rampage 3 hours after he stabbed all his roommates, right? And in that rampage, he went through 55 rounds and also targeted a sorority house and deleted 3 young women. And of course, we're saying deleted because when we're small channels, we can't say the other words. A lot of people, new people, welcome to the family. This is why we don't say specific words. We get like points deducted on the channel, right? Basically. Now, when all of this took place, Elliot Rodger was only 22 years old. And then he ended the whole day by deleting himself off the planet after exchanging rounds with deputies, right? Now, when deputies went and searched his place, he had a manifesto. Yes, a manifesto. He had actually, in between stabbing his roommates and the shooting rampage, went to his apartment and uploaded a video, a YouTube video of his plans before committing the shooting rampage, right? And when the deputies searched his place, they also found cut up pillows at his apartment where he had appeared to practice stabbing motions on his pillow. So he actually took 6 people out and injured another 14. So what does this all mean, Nico? What does this all mean? How is this even related to Mr. Kohberger? Well, again, Elliot Rodger, the way Rodger spells his name is just like Papa Rodger, right? R-O-D-G-E-R. And I've said this before, that's not a common spelling. But what's interesting to me is that a lot of the guildsters say that is a very, very common spelling of Rodgers. It's actually not. Like, I looked it up. I did my research. The most common spelling of Rodger is R-O-G-E-R without the D, right? Now, there's been plenty of speculation about Papa Rodger and if this was a private account ran by Brian Kohberger, playing homage to Elliot Rodger. So people are convinced now, after Josh Ferraro came forward saying, I studied with Brian Kohberger and Brian Kohberger studied Elliot Rodgers. People are convinced that Papa Rodgers is Brian because of the name match, right? Now, remember, because it's very convenient to want to forget what I said years ago, right? We also have another name match. And who was that? Please be kind to remind me in the chat. That was Jack Rodgers Showalter, aka actually his actual name is John, but he goes by Jack. Jack Rodgers Showalter, also with the D, right? He also spells Rodgers with a D. Now, Jack Rodgers Showalter, who was allegedly known to say weird things to female coworkers at the pizza place, and who, according to these coworkers, he would always bring knives to work, but stopped doing so after the IDAHO4. So I just think it's important to point out the bias. Again, when we mention, is it possible that You know, it could be Jack Showalter. Could Jack Showalter be Papa Roger? They're like, no, that's such a common way of spelling Rogers. Don't try to pin Papa Rogers on Jack Showalter. Like, that's not cool. But now, when people are speculating about Mr. Kohlberger studying Elliot Rodger saying he's definitely Papa Rogers, now it's like magically very convenient, right? And again, it just shows bias, and it also shows how people are going to believe what they want to. It doesn't matter if you show them 10 different people with potential ties to the crime, potential ties to the victims. They're going to push everything else out of their mind if it doesn't fit their narrative already, right? So here is a problem of bias and people choosing what they want to believe, because did we just magically forget, did we just throw out the window that Mr. Kohlberger was actually studying, like, this man was getting a PhD in criminal psychology, right? I mean, honestly, people would be appalled to see my search history during my criminal psychology courses. As you guys know, I have a master's degree in psychology, and I've had to research some awful things, and then I've had to write essays on those awful things, right? Over these unalivers. Like, that's exactly what people do in these courses. And they're like, oh, but he had bookmarked a page. Nika, he bookmarked, okay, I have bookmarked so many pages on Ted Bundy and Elliot Rodger. Like, these are like basic people, and BTK, basic unalivers that you study when you are taking criminal psychology courses. So I wanted to share that with you because I know that these docuseries are about to be released. Now, I don't think that they have been released yet. Maybe soon, maybe this weekend. I know that there's one on Peacock. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be watching it yet, but I may, only because some people who've had insider information have mentioned to me privately on my Instagram that some of these docuseries are actually questioning the roommates. They're asking questions. They are not afraid to talk about the 8-hour delay. They are not afraid to talk about the mismatched stories of Dylan and Bethany. So if that's the case, then I think we should give the docuseries a fair chance. When something is open-minded and is willing to ask basic objective questions regarding the two people that were at the crime scene when the crime was taking place, aka Dylan Mortensen, aka Bethany Funk, well, the most obvious thing to do would be to ask questions, right? Not necessarily jump to conclusions, but the fact that Dylan Mortensen has gone back and forth, well, Billy Thompson has gone back and forth regarding the roommates, right? They were asleep, they were not asleep, they were deleting, creating files, deleting images, altering images. Just kidding, they were asleep. They were frozen in shock. Oh wait, they were actually not frozen in shock, right? Like I said in the beginning, when the truth is actually true, it doesn't change every few months. It remains the same. The truth does not change. Like I said in the very beginning, a big red flag is when you have a person who's telling you a story and you question them again a few months later and that story has shifted. And here we've had that shift, that change of stories back and forth with the timeline regarding Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. So yeah, of course we're going to ask questions. And that being said, please let me know, guys, in the chat if you plan to watch this docuseries. I personally want to watch the one on Peacock, because if they're actually being brave enough, because honestly, you have to be brave just to basically ask questions, right? Like, Because we know what happens when we ask questions. We get canceled, we get demonetized, our channel doesn't get promoted, the algorithm works against us, people get very sensitive, people threaten us, people threaten my children, my family, my livelihood. But here we are doing the Lord's work, because whether you're religious or not, I'm a big believer that the truth always comes out. And I wanted to share this with you guys. I know I've actually never shared this with you guys. Let's see if my computer is actually working. I don't like to talk about religion, right? Too much. What are you guys drinking, by the way? Sorry, my computer's being slow. I have water. Ooh. Whether you are religious or spiritual, or you believe in vibes and the universe, or whatever it is, okay? This is Luke 8:17. And I've been saying this from the beginning, not directly quoting this, but what have I been saying? Okay. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be known or brought out into the open. And that's exactly what's going to happen in this case. Wait and see. Wait and see. Whether Brian Kohlberger did it or not, whether the roommates were involved directly or indirectly, whatever they know, eventually it comes out. And we've seen this time and time again with, for example, the Innocence Project. People that were falsely accused and then spent their lives, sometimes decades, in prison for no fucking reason. Then we learn later, oh look, there's actually footage that exonerates them. Oh my gosh, he was at a baseball game. And it took them like however many years to find the footage, right? Again, I'm not saying Brian Kohlberger did this or not, or that the roommates are involved or not, but I have this feeling, this vibe, if you will, that the roommates fucking know something. Excuse my français, s'il vous plaît. They know something and they're not talking. And the fact that they've gone back and forth with the timeline, with the stories about the roommates being asleep, then not asleep, when we know damn well they were not asleep. Why is Bill Thompson still to this day lying to our faces about the roommates being asleep? We know they weren't asleep, babe. We know they were FaceTiming daddy. And by the way, if you know anything about Dylan's daddy, well, you know what type of man Dylan's daddy is. So I pray that at least this rumor about the Peacock DOCUSERIES asking questions regarding the roommates actually does exactly that, right? We should be asking questions. We know, you know, I know, up there, everybody knows that if Dylan and Bethany were two men instead, maybe they would be in jail. They'd probably still be in there. Regardless of guilt, right? Who's in the chat? Hello guys, happy Wednesday. Welcome fam, if you guys are all in here in the chat. By the way, I want to apologize because sometimes some of you guys get a little bit upset. Everybody, hello Elisanda, hello Lisa, hello Annie, hi Michael Green Chili Chicken, hello Don, hi Dutch Baby, KDFF, did you see the video creator? No, I'm sorry, I don't really watch other video creators, not because I hate them, but because I don't have the time right now. I didn't know they had a king. Yeah, he's Elliot Rodger is pretty popular among the incels. I would say almost as popular as Andrew Tate. And I totally agree with you. Hello, Ao. Hello, Lisa. I agree with Lisa, right? It doesn't matter. We all read and watch horrors, true serial killers, etc. We don't become killers. It's all stupid excuses that guilters eat up. And what I've heard a lot is this is very common. I've heard this quite a bit. Nika, did you get a master's degree in psychology 4.0 because you're crazy yourself and you wanted to study your own brain? Like, this is such like a go-to for neurotypicals. They're like, well, people who study psychology must be insane. That's why they want to study psychology, because like you want to know your own kind. You want to know your own crazy people, or you want to know your own crazy brain. And they've said this about Brian Kohlberger, like, well, he must be insane if he was studying criminal psychology. I'm like, bro, do you know how many people study criminal psychology and they're normal? Like, I can't believe like that people are so slow to jump to that conclusion, right? WB says, tough guide to practice on a defenseless pillow. Hello, Stone. Some people watch it to live out their fantasies. We watch to know our enemies. Stone says, like the look today, Nika, kind of punk rockish. Oh yeah, I forgot. This is Chief Fry should wear this sweater. By the way, guys, what do you think about Chief Fry? Like, something about that man has never sat well with me, and the fact that Molly Meth, you know, the DoorDash driver, said that Bill Thompson was a friend. Why, Chief Fry, are you friends with everybody? You were supposedly contacting Brent Kopaka, our Purple Heart veteran that was unalived by police department, right? He was swatted. Had also allegedly called Brent Kopaka time and time again, that allegedly Chief Fry was always contacting Brent Kopaka. And now we hear Molly Meth say that you and her are close friends. What the fuck does that mean, bro? I want to know what that means. I also want to know why, regarding Hudson Lindau, is that how you pronounce it? The frat boy that was unalived, probably by other frat boys. Why were you the first one to find him, Chief Fry? He should be wearing this. Chief Fry should be wearing this. Red flag. Red flag. Deborah says, feels like the system screwed BK. Now he's got a revenge plan ace in his pocket. Otherwise, he'd be giving one clue of legit guilt, like where the knife is. Lisa, Brian is innocent. It's not a sicko killing like they say. It's a hit job for some people being informants. Parents, even people who died, might have also been working with law enforcement. It's very likely this was drug related. And remember, Steve Gonsalves himself said that horrible things were going to come out regarding the victims. Is it because they were dealing things? What were the horrible things? Are we ever going to hear those things? Oh yeah, small fries, definitely. If those roommates were men, they would have been arrested. And in my opinion, they'd probably still be in jail right now. Because again, statistically speaking, the people that commit these types of crimes are usually close to the victims. And in this case, we have two grown-ass women who are literally at the house, can hear whispers of, I'm here to help. But you can't hear anybody screaming. You can't see red fluid coming out of Xana when she's passed out on the floor. You just went right past her. You saw her pass out on the floor, face down, and you just went back to your room. You walked right back to your room, babe. How does that sit well with people? I don't think Dylan and Bethany were close or even liked the roommates. Look at the photos of them together. Yeah, I don't think so either. Body language says a lot, right? I would also like to know what Liz Gaspari wants to know, right? What did you tell your mommy and daddy, Bethany? What did you tell your daddy, Dylan, when y'all were FaceTiming? And of course, the smell would be atrocious, even if Dylan heard whispers of, I'm here to help, but you didn't hear any screams or whatever. Come on, bro. You would have smelled something. This would have smelled like copper, iron, nickel, red fluid, probably feces, because when people pass away, they release urine and feces. So the smell would be disgusting, not to mention the decay of flesh. That would be horrific, horrific. So please let me know in the comments. Please vote in the chat. Please, as part of the replay crew, make sure to vote in the comment section, please. Here we go. Before I lose connection. If you think that Mr. Koberger was Papa Rogers and somehow he became obsessed with Elliot Rodger and he was trying to beat Elliot Rodger, leave a 1. If you think that Papa Rodger is not Brian Koberger, could be somebody else, leave a 2. Again, it's funny that we have Jack Rogers Showalter, who spells Roger the same way. Jack Rogers Showalter, who would carry knives allegedly to work. Jack Rogers Showalter, who would allegedly be creepy around women at work. Jack Rogers Showalter, who allegedly stopped carrying his knives to work at the pizza place post IDAHO4. But we're not going to question that. Well, let's just fucking pin it all on BK. Again, I'm not saying that Brian Koberger, did or did not do it. What I am saying is that I personally could not convict him as a guilty person based solely on touch DNA. Remember, touch DNA is not allowed in military courts for a reason. Touch DNA is not allowed in criminal courts in most countries for a reason. That is the only thing that places him there. Well, then how did it get there? It's touch DNA, right? You literally can shake somebody's hand. 6 people can shake the hand of each other and your DNA will still end up on that thing. That's what touch DNA is. And it still shocks me 3 years later that people have not bothered to Google search. Boy, we have AI. We have ChatGPT by now. It could break it down for you, even if your IQ is below 90, right? Use your resources. So make sure to vote, guys. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you enjoyed this chat. And I'm going to be talking about one of the FBI agents in another video. I don't have time, so stay tuned, guys. Take care. Peace out.